What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to welcome you guys to part 2 of our discussion surrounding the Elves of Lindon. So this is going to be a mirror match, essentially, to the one that I did with UMAD. It's going to be against the Woodland Realm, and I'm going to have, I think, the same army composition. So I've got my 2 units of Wardens of Harlenden. I've got 2 units of Forlindon Archers, 5 units, I believe, of the Harlenden infantry, 3 units of Forlindon Marines, and I've got a couple units as well of the Wardens of Tyrion. And this is, because this is a discussion video, I will tell you the outcome of this battle early. So if you guys don't want to know for whatever reason, then skip through basically the next 10 or so seconds. Alright, so the outcome of this is that I lose this one. And there's a lot of good reasons for that, and I think it shows you a lot about the dynamic between these two factions and kind of what it's going to take to win as Lindon. And I don't think that's going to change. I don't think the changes coming down the pipe for the Elves generally are going to shake up this particular matchup hugely. Obviously, the Elves will be able to do less damage to each other at range, so it's going to come down more to an infantry fight or a cavalry fight or other things like that, which may or may not be more to Lindon's advantage. If Lindon can survive through the arrow storm with a lot of their javelins intact, if they brought them, then they can potentially win an infantry fight. But again, it's really going to come down to comps and how well the players play and like mistakes that they make and things like that. But yeah, where was I going with that? Anyway, so it's not going to shake up the matchup too much, but yeah, it should help and make it a little bit less. Well, you guys will see, and I'll talk about it throughout the replay. In any case, let's go ahead and let's see what my opponent has brought to the battle today. All right, so across the field for me, we have Starling again. He's got 3 units of Hiri Peng, the full complement here of the high tier Elven Archers. He's also got, I believe, 2 units of the new Ranger unit, and I think another 2 units on top of that. So he's got a ton of archers. I think he's got some woodland patrol in here as well. So he's got a grand total of 8 archers in this battle, which is scary. I can only really feasibly afford to bring 7 dedicated foot archer units as Lindon. Of course, I've got a little bit of help from my Wardens of Harlenden, but they've got less range and they're a little bit more vulnerable to the wood elven archers. So that's not going to be as much of an asset, I think, in this particular battle. But moving on to his infantry line, he's eschewed the heavier infantry in favor of a much more numerous light infantry line. So he's got 4 units of Thandaneren, 2 of them here, 2 of them on the other flank, and I believe he's also got 2 or 3 units of the Hathalineren in the center there. And he's got 1 unit of Pathfinders as well, but instead of a 2nd unit, as you might brought, he's also brought a unit of Iar Arbranan and Nandorin, which is the Elder Kingsguard. I'm sure you guys will recognize them. They are spear cavalry, not as powerful in melee as other lancers, just because they're a bit stronger against cavalry, but they do have 2 HP and pretty decent armor as well. I think they're one of the highest armored Mirkwood units with a grand total of 8 armor. So useful, definitely useful for standing up to some of my lower tier archers, like the Forlindon Archers, for example. But yeah, that's it for Starling's army. It's pretty straightforward. It's very archer heavy, much more archer focused than the last one rather. Wow, I cannot do English today. But yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get into the replay. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, this one's going to have a very extended skirmish phase. You can see that Starling is revealing a couple units here of his Delupeng and Emendweir, which is interesting. And they have a little bit higher range than my Harlenden Guard, which is why you're going to see him kind of inching forward like this, trying to find that sweet spot where he can hit me, but I can't attack him. The only way that I can attack him is by moving forward with my Harlenden Guard, and that is going to expose them to the Hiri Peng, because they have the same amounts of range. But of course, this is a very minute difference. It's only about 10 or so difference between the range of the 2 archers. So as he begins to creep forward, it might not go quite as well for him as I think he's wanting it to. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's fast forward that just a little bit. Yeah, there you go, the Delupeng now in range, but they're also in range of my Harlenden Guard. He kind of overstepped it a little bit there. And over on this side, oh damn, they're going to get focus fire down by a couple units there, and they're going to lose, I think, like a 1/5 of their strength nearly immediately, and that's going to force Starling to fall back and then kind of reevaluate a little bit here. So let's go ahead and let's kick it into 6 times, because as I said, this is a very extended skirmish phase. There's a lot of maneuvering here, because a lot of it comes down to, in this case, who shoots first, and that is something that we want to change. We don't necessarily, well, we definitely do not want high-tier units to melt in seconds because they run into other high-tier units. We want it to be a little bit more interesting than that. So my Harlan on guard took a little bit of damage there, lost nearly about 30 men out of the unit. So a fairly even exchange there, though I did manage to capture some of his rangers on the other side. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my formation here. I still have moved my Wardens of Harlindon, or my Wardens of LS Tyrion. So Starling doesn't know where they are, but he definitely knows that I have them. We had to redo this battle several times just because of a few like obnoxious pathfinding bugs and stuff like that that led to one side being completely and utterly butchered by the other, and just generally not being a very fair or a very meaningful exposition of anything. So my Harlan on guard here, I've brought them back, and because he doesn't know where these guys are, I'm going to try and use them to draw him into a trap if I can. Now, his archer is significantly more accurate than mine, so I am not inclined to move forward at all if I can help it. And yeah, I really want Starling to be the one to make the first move here. So I'm gonna have to try and be as patient as possible, and it is gonna pay off. So now you're gonna see basically the length and breadth here of Starling's archer line. So he's got Tyrion Thaur, Gwathan Erengalen, 3 units of Peng, 2 units of the Delopeng, and another unit over here of Hierin Tower. So he's got what? 2, 4, 6, 7. I think he's got another archer unit around here as well. But yeah, he's definitely got a lot of really high range, really deadly archer units. So as he moves forward in basically just one giant block, that's going to be something that's difficult for me to deal with. So I've popped here my Wardens of LS Tyrion, and they're going to be firing into the Gwath and Erengalen, and damn, they're going to melt them. That's like half the unit dying there in just a few seconds. But the fact that he has them all kind of bricked up like this means that it's very easy for him to try and focus fire me down. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure he's 8 archers. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he's definitely got the 8 archers. So because of this big block formation, whereas before UMAD and I kind of fought each other in waves, he's going to be able to do enough damage to my units quickly enough that they melt, basically, and I'm not going to be able to do the same amount of damage to his skirmish line as I was to UMAD's in the previous battle. So I can see that things are starting to turn against me, so now I know that it's time to try and go for that infantry fight. A lot of my Harlan infantry have attack upgrades, so I know that they've got a good chance of beating the Hathalin and things like that. They'll be they're definitely a superior unit to the Wood Elven infantry. So I need to pick that fight, and of course I need to use my my Lindon Marines as well to great effect. Now, one of the things I need to be concerned about are the Lancer units. Now, I don't really have a counter to them. I've got my Wardens of Harlan, but I'm not too sure how to use them at this point with so many of his archers still on the field. So let's go ahead and let's slow things down a little bit here. And you can see the Rechbin on Amon Lang charging forward, looking to flatten my center here, and I don't want to let that happen. So as I mentioned in our previous video, if you are quick with your unit movements, you can sometimes get Lancer charges to miss entirely or to do significantly less damage than what they normally would. So as he's moving forward, I want to try and draw him into my Lindon Marines. You can see they're already beginning to reload this unit over here as well. I need them to toss those javelins into these riders. So they managed to get a quick volley off there, not as devastating as I was hoping. I was hoping this would be a decisive moment here with those Rechbin on Amon Lank, and then I'd be able to use my horse archers on the other end to focus down the Elder Kingsguard. But we managed to do some damage, and they are at least retreating, so now we can pick an infantry fight and try and win this. Let's see, my skirmish forces still reasonably intact. I've lost a lot. Wardens of Harlan have now been brought up to try and support us on the infantry fight, but I've still got some Harlan on guard. I've still got about 100 or so, a little bit more than 100 of my Lindon archers. So we're still focusing down the Hiri Pang, and we can potentially even out the fight a little bit with some of our Lindon Marines. So infantry fight now happening. Lindon infantry charging hard into the Thandon, and that is a fight that they are well situated to win. Over on this side, javelin volley into the front of the Standard do a little bit of damage, although it wasn't quite as devastating as I needed it to be, because I think I'm repositioning them to maybe put some javelin fire into the Hiri Bang in the back there. Over on this end, got my Harlan Marines moving around onto the flank. I can see that Starling is trying to sandwich this unit of Harlan infantry, and I'm going to try and make him pay for it with my Lindon Marines over here. Harlan infantry charging into the Hathalin. That is going to be Normally that would be a much easier fight for them. I think there's a couple units in here. There seems like there's certainly a lot of my Hollow Knight infantry, so they're going to be able to put up a decent showing there against that Wood Elven light infantry. Over on this side, Starling now trying to complete his encirclement of my left flank, but I'm definitely making him pay for it here with my my Lindon Marines in the back. Over on the center, I brought my Wardens of Harlandon forward, trying to skirmish down some of the Wood Elven units, trying to just put as much pressure on that back line as possible, because contrary to the game I had with UMAD, I didn't manage to do the damage to his archer companies that I needed to, and a lot of that, again, as I mentioned earlier, had to do with the kind of blocky formation that he had them in. So it is definitely a counter to the tiered archer defense. Just overwhelming it with sheer numbers and sheer firepower is definitely a valid strategy. But yeah, over here, then taking a big flanking volley from my Lindon Marines, who are going to discharge their deadly payload into those lightly armored Elven Spearmen. That's going to do a lot of damage to them. Over on this end, looks like Starling is trying to do the same thing, but I don't think it's going to work quite as well. I've still got some Lindon Marines, a lot of Lindon Marines over here. My third line still very much intact, and I am kind of winning in the center. Ooh, big javelin volley there into the Hiri Peng. Just doing my best to try and even out the skirmish fight and kill as many of these deadly Elven archers as humanly possible, or elvenly possible, I suppose, if you prefer. Deadly Peng and Inventory are also going to take a big volley. That's going to cut down quite a lot of them. Yeah, once the casualties begin to mount, there you go. We got over here the Theoden Tower also taking a javelin volley, so we've managed to thin out the line here, and Starling in response is going to pull back his remaining Wood Elven archers out of range of my javelins. You can see we've really killed it in the later game here. We've managed to do a lot of damage to the skirmish line, but it's just ultimately not going to be enough. The 8 archer combo is very much a difficult thing for Lindon to have to deal with this particular army composition. I don't know. I can't think of too many that would do well against the 8 archer comp generally. Lindon taking another volley from my spears. Now my Harlandon infantry are going to be free to continue their attack onto the Thandon Eden and hopefully begin to win the fight over on that flank. But I make a mistake here. Most of this is going to be friendly fire, and that's actually going to hurt my chances ultimately of winning on this end. Now let's see what we got going on in the back here. Can see the cavalry, the Roekbin on Aman Lank, have now come around the flank, and they're well situated to launch hammer and anvils and things like that. So I'm going to pull out with my Harlandon Marines, or my Lindon Marines rather, and charge them towards the Roekbin on Aman Lank. Try and zone them out like I did in the previous battle. Meanwhile, those Roekbin are going to try and scoot around my Lindon Marines. They're going to go right for my Harlandon Guard, just not what I want them to do. I preferred if they would just run into my spears and die, but Starling's not going to give me that opportunity. So my Lindon Marines finally get themselves sort of into position, but they're still spread out there. They're going to take time to reform. I'm going to lose the opportunity here to toss into the Amon-like riders before they manage to make it into my Harlandon Guard. Though my Harlandon Guard are spearmen, so this is not going to be quite so easy a fight as you would think. Over on this side, the Elder Kingsguard moving in as well, and I'm trying to just focus fire them down with everything that I got. My remaining Rangers, of which I have very, very few. I've got yeah, 9 of them still remaining because they got run over by that cavalry. But these 2 HP, higher armor cavalry are going to stand up to it a lot better than the Roekbin on Amon Lank, and a big charge here is going to basically sweep away one of our remaining Lindon archers. If I had these guys focusing on the back lines here, I could be focusing down the rest of the skirmish line, and then it's really just a matter of dealing with this cavalry. So I think I should have just maybe gone for it and tried to kill as many of these guys as possible, try and basically destroy what remains of the skirmish line, rather than trying to kill the cavalry and then deal with the skirmishers, because that gives them a lot of time to do a lot of work. Now I've basically won the infantry fight here again at this point. Just by overwhelming his forces and really leveraging my mid-range skirmish. But let's kick it into full speed here. With that many skirmishers still remaining, my lightly armored infantry are going to be in a very difficult position. He's now able to focus down my Lindon Marines. This is what I wanted to not have happen. And unfortunately, this unit here is basically going to be all but destroyed with some focus fire from the remaining Elven skirmishers. Another charge here from the Rex Spin on M and Lank into my Lindon archers, so I think we're out of ammunition. Nope, they still have some. See if they fire. Nope, it's not going to happen. Basically going to get flattened by those lancers, and things are starting to turn against me now because I wasn't able to deal with that cavalry. Over here, got the Elder Kingsguard charging into the rear of my Lindon Marines, almost routing them, getting very close to routing them. Though some support here from my Lindon infantry, we are going to be able to charge into these guys and actually kill quite a few of them before Sterling is able to pull them out and salvage what remains of that unit. Yeah, they've taken some pretty serious casualties now, lost a lot of their HP, so they're a lot squishier than they used to be. But unfortunately now I've got this big blob just kind of sitting out here, and that's easy prey for those Elven archers. And look at this. I'm going to make a very fateful mistake here, and instead of committing against the Elven archers, I'm going to charge in here and try and overwhelm what remains of his infantry and then move on to them. So this is a big mistake on my part, and that's going to expose my the rear of my warriors here, my Lindon infantry, to both some rear charges and that deadly skirmish fire. So this is definitely going to be a loss for me. Go ahead and we'll kick it into full speed here, and you can watch the destruction of my infantry. So really, this came down to not being able to deal with the cavalry in the way that I wanted to, and not being able to do the amount of damage that I wanted to the skirmish line. If I had done to the skirmish line what I had done to UMADs in the previous battle, then this is a fight that I could have won.
Our foolish general has thrown his life
But
away.
the 8 archer combo is very much, it's like the final nail in the coffin. You can manage against a little bit less than 8 archers, or ideally 6 is something that you can comfortably win as Lindon. But if they're bringing 8 because they want to bring like basically every archer that they've got, you are gonna struggle. And it's not impossible in the current patch, but it is hard. And it should, hopefully that'll level out a little bit with the new hotfix. We'll see what the testers think of it, but yes, it is not an easy fight by any means. So hopefully you didn't get the impression that, like, from the last battle, from the first battle we did against UMAD, that it's super easy to beat the Mirkwood, a Mirkwood army with a lot of archers. It's definitely not, and there are some things that they can do to you and some mistakes that you can make that will seal your fate as Lindon real fast. So let's go ahead. So we're going to fast forward a little bit here. At this point, Sterling and I were just kind of discussing, kind of post-game, what we thought of basically the matchup between these two factions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fast forward here, and I'll see you guys at the post-battle screen. Ah, that's my bad. I forgot that there isn't a post-battle screen for this battle. I think it's because we both just like finished and then Alt F forward essentially, so we didn't get the post-battle screen. But you can see the destruction of our two armies is basically total here, with a little bit of extra, because I think I had some, while we were talking, I had some Wardens of Elastirian over there who were shooting at some Fury Pang. So basically we destroyed each other, but Sterling definitely came out the winner in this, and that's because he had the comp to do it, and he knows what he's doing. So yeah, it's a tough game. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm having another Lindon-related video coming out. Sort of it's a quick battle that shows how you can, one way at least of defeating them. I don't have time to do like every conceivable way, but it is one potential way of defeating them. It does highlight a lot of their weaknesses generally, so you guys can draw your own conclusions from that, and yeah, build your own army comps. That's the fun part of it, is trying to find strategies that work. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.